Welcome into Paul Catalina's Top 5, brought to you by Ticket Club. Best Hackman movies of all time. This was really hard to do. Because this is a dude who had so many great movies, Gene Hackman, and so many great roles, so much so that I left Superman off this list. If you've watched this show for any amount of time or know anything about me, you know how much I love Superman. And I love Gene Hackman's portrayal of Lex Luthor. In fact, since it was the first portrayal of Lex Luthor I'd ever seen, it was the way I've informed every Lex Luthor performance since then because Gene was so damn good at it. But there were other better roles. That's how good he was. He was so good as Lex Luthor, so perfect as him, especially at the time. But didn't make this list, but I thought it bared mentioning. And look, I'm such a disgusting Superman nerd that everybody here makes fun of me for it. Number 5, best Gene Hackman movies, The Royal Tenenbaums. This is a Wes Anderson movie. It's not for everybody, I'll tell you that, because it's very quirky like all Wes Anderson movies are. But he is a very lovable ne'er-do-well in this movie. And it's dry funny, it's dramatic. It tells the story of a man who's trying to, reunite with his family after all these bad things he's done to them over the years. And it's such a good, heartfelt movie, and he's so good in it. He's so weaselly, and he's just trying to do the right thing. I cannot recommend this movie enough. If you are a movie buff, you'll love The Royal Tenenbaums if you haven't seen it. And if you have, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Number 4, Get Shorty. So most movies, Gene Hackman is kind of a badass, right? He's kind of a dude who's, whether he's a good guy or a bad guy, like he's badass at whatever he does. But in Get Shorty, with John Travolta, Rene Russo, Dennis Farina's fantastic in this movie as well. Gene Hackman plays a very hapless movie director, kind of a scammer a little bit. And all this befalls him because if he's trying to get this movie made, the one movie that he's ever produced that would actually be good. It's so funny. He gets his ass whipped several times in the movie. This is a very funny scene. Danny DeVito, of course, in this movie, and just hilarious as well. This is one of my favorite roles of his, and it's also one of my favorite of John Travolta's, who has very few really good roles. I'll tell you that right now. Travolta's like 1 in every 10 movies he does. He knocks it out of the park. The other 9 are total garbage. But Get Shorty, watch this one. It's infinitely rewatchable and hilarious. Number 3, The French Connection. Popeye Doyle. What a great character name. Just a badass. Just an absolute badass in this movie. The car chase scene alone revolutionized filmmaking forever. This is a go-to crime drama anytime that you want to watch one. Like, it's absolutely the 70s crime drama. Like, it's the pinnacle of it. I love it. He's so good in this movie. And the car chase scene, you'll watch it and then you'll go back and watch it again because it's so freaking good. Number 2, Crimson Tide. This is probably Smokey's favorite Gene Hackman role because it also intersects with one of Denzel Washington's best roles as well. And in this movie, like I talked about yesterday on the show a little bit, he is not really a bad guy. He's certainly the antagonist of the movie, but he's a guy who thinks he's doing the right thing and loses sight of what the right thing really is. And you have this mutiny on this submarine, and it is tense even before the conflict hits. This is a tense movie from the beginning and just rises and rises and rises and rises. And he's just so intimidating in this movie. It's so great. And there's only a few actors that could have stood toe to toe with him in this movie, and that's Denzel Washington, which is another reason that makes it so great. And number 1, one of the best villain roles of all time, Gene Hackman in Unforgiven. Unforgiven flips the roles of the good guy and the bad guy. Clint Eastwood, he killed women and children. He's a bad guy, but he's trying to make amends and do one good thing before he's over. Gene Hackman, on the other hand, is a local sheriff, a deputy, or a marshal. And he's, you think he's a good guy, but he's corrupt, awful things, just the villain role to end all villain roles here. This movie won Best Picture for a reason, and one of that big reasons was Gene Hackman was so good as the villain. So good as the villain. I love this movie. I need to rewatch it. As a matter of fact, it's been a while since I've seen it. But those are the top 5 Gene Hackman roles. And my apologies to Bonnie and Clyde and No Way Out and The Conversation and every other great Gene Hackman movie. You couldn't make it in here. I'm sorry. But that's going to do it for us. Have a great weekend, everybody. Adios.